What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, and in this video, we're going to be checking out the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G now that we're in 2022. Now this device is one of several different devices in the Moto G Stylus lineup that have launched over the last year and a half, so just keep in mind that the information in this video is relevant specifically to this phone, the Moto G Stylus 5G. We've also gotten more recently, about a month ago, the Moto G Stylus 2022, which is actually an LTE only device, which is a bit of a surprise considering that 5G is pretty much the standard at this point. And then last year, in addition to this phone, we also got the Moto G Stylus 2021. So I'm sure at some point this year, we're going to be getting the successor to this phone, which will be known as the Moto G Stylus 5G 2022. But for now, if you do want to get a Moto G Stylus device that does support 5G, this is your only option. So I just wanted to clarify that potential confusion because Motorola does release a variety of different phones with similar or identical names. Another thing to keep in mind as well is that this device, if you buy it through the carriers, actually has slightly toned down specifications compared to if you buy the phone factory unlocked directly from Motorola. Now, if you get the phone from the carriers, you likely will be saving quite a bit of money. So some of those compromises do make sense, especially considering that the carriers tend to offer deals if you're switching in from another carrier, or if you're not switching in from another carrier, they still often give you better deals than if you just buy the phone directly from Motorola. But of course, the downside is that if you get the phone from a carrier, you are going to be stuck with having to use the device on that specific carrier. Now, the toned down aspects of this device compared to the factory unlocked model are that you're getting less storage. So if you get this phone through carriers, you're getting 128 gigabytes of internal storage compared to 256 gigabytes with the factory unlocked model. And then you're also getting less RAM at 4 gigabytes compared to 6 gigabytes. Now, whether or not that's important really depends on how you use your device. But so far, with the carrier model of the Moto G Stylus 5G, it's been working out really well. So I really don't have any complaints about it. Now, the Moto G Stylus 5G actually brings quite a bit to the table here, considering that this phone is an entry-level Android device. So the first thing that really stands out quite a bit with this phone is the actual display itself, which at 6.8 inches is a really big display, and it makes the phone ideal for content consumption. So whether it's watching videos or reading articles or just browsing through social media, this phone is going to be really good for it because of the really large canvas that we are getting here. Now, in addition to that, the display features IPS LCD technology. It is a 1080p display, which is really good as well. We're getting a PPI of 386, so things are nice and crisp and clear here. And we're getting a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor, but still very consistent with many of the more modern Android phones that have launched throughout this year and last year. And then finally, with this phone, we are getting an 85% screen-to-body ratio. So we do have a little bit of a thicker bottom bezel, but in general, pretty small bezels all throughout. And we do have a hole punch for the front-facing camera situated in the upper left. Now the front camera is 16 megapixels, and definitely take a look at my full review video that I have already done about this device to see a variety of different photo and video samples. But in general, I'm pretty happy with the results from all the various cameras on this phone. Now again, when it comes to internal storage, if you get the phone through the carriers, you're going to be getting 128 gigabytes. And then if you get it through Motorola, you are going to be getting 256 gigs. And the device does support microSD card expansion. So if you do happen to run out of storage, you can always add in a microSD card to offload photos and videos, for example. But even if you do get the carrier model of the phone and you get 128 gigabytes of storage, that's still quite a bit of storage. That's more storage than what you're getting with the base model iPhone SE3, for example. And that phone is a lot more expensive than this one. Now with the Moto G Stylus 5G, there's no wireless charging, but we do have a fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone. So we'll give that a try right now. There we go. One more time. So nice, quick, and responsive fingerprint sensor, and this phone also supports face unlock. So I do like that we have multiple methods for getting into the phone. Now taking a look at that quad camera setup on the back, we have a 48 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, a 5 megapixel macro camera, and a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera to assist with portrait mode. And the phone does support portrait mode for both the front and rear cameras, which is certainly a really good thing if you do like to take pictures with nice blurred out backgrounds. Now here's how things look on the camera app on the device. This is with the main camera right now. Then from here, we can switch over to the macro camera to get nice close-up images that are crisp and clear. We can also go over to the ultra wide-angle camera that does allow us to fit a lot more content into the frame. We can then flip around to the front-facing camera, and there's me right there. And then we can switch over to portrait mode as well to get those nice blurred out backgrounds. So there we go. And then in addition to that, we have some other features as well here in the camera app. Dual capture is a pretty cool one because you can actually take video using the front camera and rear camera at the same time. Now video recording with this phone maxes out at 1080p with the front and rear cameras. Now as far as the amount of RAM you're getting, I also mentioned this earlier on in the video, but if you get the phone through the carriers, you get 4 gigabytes of RAM, and then if you get it through Motorola, you get 6 gigabytes of RAM. And then the processor is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 480 5G processor. So that's a pretty decent processor in general. Of course, the processor is what makes this phone possible to connect to 5G, but in addition to that, it performs decently well. Now, I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 5, and I'll show you the results from that test right here. But essentially, I got a single core score of 504 and a multi-core score of 1660. So what I recommend doing is running this test in your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to get a better idea of whether or not the Moto G Stylus 5G is going to be a performance upgrade for you. Because it is possible that the phone that you have right now could be faster than this phone. Now with this device, we're getting a 5000 milliamp hour internal battery, which is pretty awesome. But one downside with it is that there is no NFC. So if you do like to make mobile contactless payments using services such as Google Pay, for example, you're not going to be able to do it here with this phone, which is a bit disappointing, especially now that we're in 2022, and I personally make mobile payments all the time if I can do it with a compatible phone. Now, an upside with this phone is that it does feature a water repellent design. Now, it's not completely waterproof, but it does at least feature more water resistance than your typical lower-end smartphone. Now, a downside with this device is that it features Android 11, and Android 12 has already been out for quite a while now. So this phone has not gotten that update, and I have no idea if, when, or ever it actually is going to be getting Android 12. Now, Motorola does typically give their lower-end Android phones at least one major software update, but I'll tell you what, they really like to wait as long as possible to give us that update, so who knows when this phone will be getting Android 12. If I had to guess, it probably won't be until Android 13 is out. So I really wish they'd be a lot faster with their updates. So if you are looking to get an Android phone that will be giving you the latest versions of Android as time goes on, then I would go with probably a whole different brand for that matter. Now, taking a closer look at the hardware of the device, this phone is made completely out of plastic, but despite that, this phone actually feels decently premium and also doesn't feel cheap. Now, taking a look at the left side of the device, we just have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. Then on the right side of the phone, we have volume up, volume down, also the power button. Then up top here, we have the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the phone, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, microphone, speaker, and we have, of course, the stylus, which I'll show you in a second. Then on the back of the phone, we have that quad camera setup, the camera flash, and we have the Motorola logo, which is also the fingerprint sensor. And then in this situation, we also have Cricket branding on the device. Now, hence the name of the phone, the stylus is pretty much one of the main features here of the Moto G Stylus 5G. Now, to get to the stylus, all you have to do is punch it in and it'll pop out. And then from there, we have some first-party pre-installed applications that give you a variety of different things to do with the stylus. But of course, you can always go to the Play Store to access even more apps that are stylus friendly. Now, in general, this stylus is good for navigating around the phone. It's also good for writing some quick notes, maybe doing a simple drawing here or there. But in general, this stylus is not too capable. So I definitely wouldn't buy this phone with the stylus to do professional art, for example. But if you just want a stylus to doodle around and use in general for getting around the phone, like I mentioned, it is good for that. Now, the other good thing about the stylus as well is that if you don't want to use it, it's really not inconvenient by having it. So it does neatly tuck away in the phone. The phone's also really not thicker or anything like that to accommodate the stylus. So if you never use the stylus ever, this phone is still a really solid phone to use. But if you do find yourself using the stylus, then that is really just an added bonus. And in general, when it comes to pricing for this device, you're not really paying a premium either just to get the stylus. So there's really nothing but good things for having it. But then again, if you do want a really high-end capable stylus, then you might want to go for a more expensive phone like the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. So at this point in 2022, I do think the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G is still a really good option. If you're looking for a phone that might not have the latest, most highest end features out there, but still is a good functioning device that will allow you to do pretty much all the tasks that you typically do on a smartphone, then I do think you'll be happy with it. And in general, I feel like you do get what you pay for here. But this is the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G in 2022. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Also make sure to sub to the channel and take a look at the various links in the video description to see the most up-to-date pricing for this phone. I'm definitely excited for the successor of this device to come out, which again, most likely will be this summer. But even though this phone was launched about 9 months ago, it still is holding up really well. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.